So, okay, officially recording. This is kind of long overdue. We've had this kind of calls before, and it's really great to be in contact with each other and know what things are in the works, what's happening, and be on top of things at all times. And you guys have probably seen lots of DevNet, testnet releases, some mainnet releases now lately. And now that mainnet releases started to get actual names, I think it's really cool to be in the loop, to know what's coming, to know what's in the works, to know how we can support the devs. I don't know if for a release they need more nodes on DevNet or on testnet, or for testing some features they need our support. I think it's good to be in a closer contact than the Validators Telegram chat, where things fly by. You ask the questions, you get a question, you get some feedback, and then things fly by. So we thought of doing this on a twice a month basis. So every 2 weeks, let's put it that way. If it needs to go every week, we can do it every week, but I think we can start with the every 2 week schedule. And maybe what we thought of, maybe what we thought of with regards to the format of these talks is just get together, see each other's faces, keep a close contact, then have somebody from the core team, if possible, join us, fill us in with what's happening with the development and some alpha, I don't know, info that drops to us. And then maybe there's a special section allocated to people like Drew, who made a special repo, right, with tools for all of us. Like he can share more than he can share in a Telegram chat, maybe just a small presentation of what he can do. And anybody else who's done things like this, you know, you can contact me in advance and have it, I don't know, 5-10 minutes slot where you can present it to everybody in the group, and we can collaborate and improve all these things, because we all are busy in our daily lives. But if we dedicate 1 hour or so every 2 weeks, I think we can all benefit from this. So I'm not sure if this is the right timing for a call, or I know we are across the globe, so it's difficult to find a time frame that fits everybody. So we'll start with this for today. Of course, we're already here, almost 50 of us. But if you guys feel that a better time frame would fit more of us, you know, we could have a poll, or we can vote, and we can drill down and see what's the best time to do this. Okay, so without further ado, I think we should start having Adrian give us a small presentation of what's cooking, latest things, and what's coming.
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, I've prepared a short presentation. The ones who've been to Paris Blockchain Week will probably find some information in this presentation very familiar, since I've already presented a bit in our event. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, so for those of you who do not know me, I'm Adrian Dobrita, head of engineering at MultiversX. And I'm going to present a bit what we've been working on the MultiversX protocol, what features are coming up next, how we thought of releasing them, and yeah, start the discussion, bring you all the information so you know what's coming, what needs to be tested, where we need some help. Yeah, and better plan the releases. So yeah, most of you, I think, or at least part of you, we've met at X-Day, what has happened in the meantime, we've had, as Eddie mentioned, the first starting release, which was Polaris. And just a brief recap on what the changes in that release have activated on the mainnet already. So previously, we didn't have an explicit transaction execution order. It was you had to compute it to find out exactly the order of the transactions in each block. Since maybe some of you or most of you know that we have some random inside the execution order added, so that we can prevent as best we can the front running of transactions. And this makes it hard to, or at least it used to make it hard to have the clear execution order of the transactions without re-executing the block. So this is currently at the level of exposing the data to the indexers and through the notifiers. It's not yet on the block, but this will come with one of the next releases. So the execution will be, let's say, the execution order will be sealed into the block itself, and it will be visible also on Explorer and everyone who needs to integrate. The peer changes, there has been some refactor. Maybe you know, on the start of Epoch, we have shuffling, and we have nodes moving around, new nodes coming in, and
driving his car.
Sorry? Oh, so this one, it was long overdue. It was the odd kid on the block. It was a bit heavy, the peer changes, so the node changes was a bit heavy. And if we wanted in the future to increase the number of nodes, like we are already planning to have more shards and more nodes, it would have been difficult to go with the previous model. So we've refactored this. Now it's slimmed and it's perfectly scalable. We've had improvements on the aggregation method. Maybe the ones who looked over the features list or the PRs list have seen something like knowledge of secret key. This is the new method we are using for aggregating signatures. Previously, we've had something like a duplicated mechanism to prevent rogue keys. One was directly in the aggregation method, and the other one was through staking mechanism, where everyone needs to prove that they have access to their own private key. Yeah, I can see raise hands there. Okay, probably maybe you can write or whoever has some questions can write those questions, and afterwards we can come back to the question, so I can go through the presentation and we'll have a lot of time to discuss afterwards, right? So regarding this, as I mentioned, we had a duplicated mechanism to prevent rogue keys, and we've removed the duplication, and through this removal, we've managed to increase by 2 times the performance. This will help us with changes in the consensus that I will afterwards present. We've removed the tree pruning during Epoch. So maybe you've noticed on the nodes that some of the Epoch databases have increased, especially on shard 1. It's I think around 1 gigabyte per epoch increase, and this increase is basically because of the pruning removal. It's still fine, since not everyone is keeping all the validators, the active validators are not keeping the entire epochs. So with a slight increase in the storage, we've managed to add functionalities such as knowing the exact balances of ESDTs or tokens or e-gold at a certain block height. So this is really helpful not only for this feature I just mentioned, but also going forward and implementing light clients. This will be needed. So this is already this came in with the Polaris release. And yeah, of course, other improvements and fixes you've probably already seen. Now, for the upcoming releases, as I mentioned, Polaris was the first one in the series of star-themed releases. The next one is called Altair, and it comes with Guardians. Now, you might be maybe used to having multiple features in one release. We've dedicated this feature to a single, like this release to a single feature, which is the Guardians, but it had multiple changes involved. On the protocol itself, it is indeed just this one feature plus some minor fixes and improvements. But we've had to also work on integrations, multiple integrations. There is integration with Ledger, integration with Web Wallet, DeFi Wallet, X Portal, and Explorer, and so on. There are multiple integrations, and we wanted to have separate testing for this one because it's a sensitive upgrade, and we need to make sure that things work properly. I will briefly present exactly what Guardian means. Maybe I'll just shortly introduce it. This does not relate to social recovery of keys, but preventing loss of funds due to seed phrase or secret phrase private key leak. So in this case, we have Guardians, and if you do some actions or you have a runway of 20 days to react if your keys are leaked and still recover all your funds, even the active funds, not staked funds. After this Altair release, so this Altair release, I see here a question. We've already deployed the protocol changes on the public testnet. This was I think it was yesterday, or no, the day before, I think. This is already there. In the current state, it's there to finalize the X Portal integration. So for the guys to not replicate the entire setup for X Portal on internal testnet, this has already been internally tested multiple times. And this is just the first step in publicly testing it. We'll also have an event later. So as we progress, but my estimation is that this month we'll have it in April. We'll have an event on the testnet probably after Easter. So I'm not sure, after 20 or 17, let's say, after 17 of April, we'll have an event. And after we see how this event goes and how the public testing goes, we'll probably decide on the activation epoch on the mainnet and do the release. But I'm expecting it to be by the end of April to have it. For Sirius, which is the next release, here we have bundled a lot of the features we want to release, which are already code complete and have already been through a round or several rounds of testing and improvements. But just we need to allocate also the public testing for this and make sure we test everything again in a real world scenario. So this one holds the multi-key nodes. As I mentioned in also at XA, This comes with a lot of improvements also on the network, also on the traffic, the noise in the network while doing shuffling, while doing change of epoch and so on. It will improve a lot this part. So you will see decrease in the traffic, and also improve liveness. And there are many optimizations here. Also improve the costs for validators, allow validators to have better machine at a reduced cost from what they have right now. So yeah, I think it comes with improvement on all fronts. It's just that everyone needs to follow let's say the recommendations to have backups and so on. We'll go into more details after we have passed the alter release and we prepare the proper testing on the testnet. So this is one of the features. Now another one is a new VM. This is based on runtime for WASM 2.2. Currently, this one is, I think it's still a bit in discussion. It's already done for 2.2. We need to, it's in the middle of testing. But there was some discussion if we would want to release this with WASM 3 instead. But this is not yet decided, so I've placed here WASM 2.2, and also promises. This has been in the works for I think 1 year or more, and it will come with big improvements on how smart contract to smart contract interaction happens. So it will reduce a bit the complexity on that front. Then we have state access optimizations. This means that there are two big features here. One of those is balancing the data trees for the state, and the effect of that is shorter accesses to the smart contract data, which again translates into faster execution for smart contract calls. This is one of the features. The other feature is a dynamic gas cost for the load operations. This is to put into better correlation the execution time with the gas estimation and the actual gas usage. You will see after, there's also a migration endpoint where the old state can be migrated. If you call this endpoint, can be directly migrated to the new model, to the balanced trees. If you do not call this, anyone can call it, by the way, not just the owner. Whoever wants to pay for the gas for the migration can pay for the gas, and it will migrate the data trees. Otherwise, it will be done on an access basis. So whenever a key in the data tree will be accessed for write, it will already migrate it to the new model. So in this case, if you do not migrate it by calling the endpoint, it will take longer to migrate, but there's no additional interaction. So I would suspect that the best way to do it is just call the endpoint. At some large contract, it might be needed to call it several times. Yeah, because of the gas, exactly, because of the gas limit. But after it's migrated, you will see a big improvement on the access or on the execution time for the smart contract calls. So that's for state access optimizations. And then we've already had for a long time some incipient model of the governance module on the protocol. It was available. It was just not used because we did not feel that it is in a form that can be adopted and we can do everything we wanted with it. But now it comes like improved, updated, and we want to bring it with Cyrus, and then we can have some discussion over it, over the way we've thought about governance, how it will go with the already implemented module. Of course, if there are changes, we can implement those. This is just a proposal we've already implemented, and we want to present to you, and the discussions will follow to see exactly, to define all the parameters and so on. And then there's DNS 2.0. This is an improved module which will be used also by exporter probably. So it comes with big improvements. After this, there's Vega, which we've allocated just for staking phase 4. Because it will probably, we will have some longer discussions over this to define all the parameters, to make sure everyone understands, to showcase our proposal and how it works and how it behaves, and then define the end solution. As you know, this is the final phase in the initially proposed 4 phases launched of the staking module, and it brings the let's say complete opening the staking module, where you no longer need to wait in a queue if you have enough funds, and you can directly start participating in validating and validating the blocks, signing the voting in consensus, and getting rewards from the network. After this Vega release, there will be Andromeda, which holds most of the consensus changes. By the way, this consensus changes does not relate only to how the consensus works, like the phases during the consensus, but also it brings a change in the execution model, transaction execution model. Probably some of you know of scheduled transactions. You are a bit familiar. So after launching the scheduled transaction feature, we've optimized it a lot, and we've noticed that we can use the model we're currently using for scheduled transactions with a few additions in order to improve even more the capacity of the block at a very, very low cost to the network. So here with these consensus changes, from the 3 billion gas we have now with normal processing and scheduled processing, and the limitations that the scheduled processing has, because there are some limitations currently, we will remove all of the limitations and have even a larger gas per block at a minimum cost to the validators and to the network. So if I'm to estimate just these changes without any of the finality improvements, which will come afterwards, it will be around 4-point-something billion gas per block without any limitations for as we have now for the scheduled execution. Then we have the currently this is in the works. Part of it is done. We have the new consensus execution model, and it has been tested. There are some improvements which are missing. Currently, what is working is if you estimate correctly the gas per transactions, it is what we want. But if you do not estimate and you overestimate, then it penalizes us. So the follow-up changes will deal with the bad gas estimations and make sure that we always take the capacity of the network for the execution and not the estimation. So the estimation will not have such a big effect, but the execution capacity will have better say on how the feature behaves. For the transaction finality improvements, these are somehow linked with the previous one. So Part of these changes have been done, like increasing the consensus group to 400 per shard, not only on the meta chain but also on the shard. The next step here, which will start soon, is removing the confirmation round in the shard. So you will have for the cross shard and even for intra shard operations, you will have one round per shard less time to finalize the transaction. And then for this, the next step will be to reduce the round from the current 6 seconds to the proposed 4 seconds. We'll see how it behaves. And this will come also with the change of the gas per block. As I mentioned earlier, if we do not do this change, we'll probably get to a 4-point-something billion gas per block. But if we reduce the round time, then it will have probably 3.4 billion gas per block. But faster finality, so it's still a big win. And then this is the official, or we want this to be the official release also for the changes related to sovereign chains. Of course, before this release, we will probably have some testnet event where we can play with sovereign chains. Not the final version, just to find out limitations and so on. But the official release is currently planned for Andromeda. And of course, the light clients. Some of the changes for the light clients have already been done, but there are more to come. And this will also be useful for the sovereign chain. So we've bundled it together with the sovereign chains in this Andromeda. Of course, all of these features are currently tentative. So if we find out that, for example, we would need to postpone a bit the VM change because we find a critical bug before launching it, we will probably push it to the next release and just have the features that work released in series, for example. So if we find out that something doesn't work, there might be some changes in the timeline. But otherwise, if everything works as we expect it, this will probably be the timeline we'll go with. So now a bit about the next release, which is the Guardians. If we want to onboard the next billion users, we need to have some better way of protecting the newcomers to crypto wallets, crypto blockchain, and so on. We need to have better ways of protecting them. Probably every one of you has dealt with people losing funds. Eddie most of all. And we all know how bad this affects the newcomers. So we wanted to bring some probably familiar way of interacting with or securing things that they have from Web 2. So if they have used 2FA, this will be useful inside the wallet. Of course, we're already working on improved interactions and user experience also for that flow. It will be even easier and easier for entry-level users to protect their funds. But also we have for Xportal a flow which is really easy to follow and for entry-level users. So this is a new protocol feature. It brings two new concepts like guarded accounts and guarded transactions. So you will have living at the same time guarded accounts on the network, guarded accounts and not guarded accounts. It will be visible. There's a flag on the account itself if it's guarded or not guarded, and the storage space or the key space of the account has the information regarding who guards the account, what public key will guard the account. And guarded transaction, it means that the guardian needs to co-sign the transaction. You will see two signatures on the guarded transactions. This is an opt-in extra layer of security. So you can activate it or deactivate it. It's your choice if you want it or not. If you know that you can handle your keys and you're not leaking them and so on, it's still fine if you do not guard your account. But for new users, I think this would be a good feature to use. It allows us to implement crypto wallet functionalities such as 2FA, but also this will be announced afterwards, an improved way to the 2FA. Yes, there will also be some update for the ledger, but not the guardian itself in the ledger. You will still need to introduce the 2FA, and you can still sign your transaction with the ledger. This is an inexpensive and seamless 2 of 2 multisig. So as I mentioned, there are 2 signatures on the transaction, and there are some rules embedded into the protocol on how these transactions are accepted by the protocol and executed. There are new actions in the wallet due to this. So one of these actions is registering your guardian or changing it. Activating the guardian feature and deactivating it. So this is the 2FA activation. This needed to be a 2-step process for mostly one reason. There are already leaked private keys and seed phrases for wallets that have not yet been drained. In case we would have activated this in the same step, it would have been even easier for scammers to completely block the access for the users, and the users will not even have the chance that they have now while they are competing to unstake the funds and move them to a different fund, to a different wallet, which is currently the only way of recovering leaked wallet funds. So this is the main reason why it's a 2-step process. But also the second reason is, let's say we have a service, because I will mention there is a service for the web wallet. If the service is unresponsive, you might want to change it so that your funds are not, or your wallet is not locked for good. So for these 2 reasons, it is a 2-step process. There's also account guarding deactivation, one of the actions, and of course sending guarded transactions if your account is guarded. The registration process currently, this is the flow for the web wallet, DeFi wallet. You register with a guardian service. This guardian service will be available to be chosen in the wallet. Currently, I think at the launch, it will just be the one we are hosting. But since this is will be open source, currently it's still private as we are doing last minute changes and so on, but it will be made public before the launch. And we have defined a process where if there is someone who wants to build on top. For example, you can build, let's say, policies or policies such as spending limits and so on. Multiple things you can build also with this service. It will be a different kind of app to add, and you can also add it as a choosable service from the wallet. There's a process for this, and also if you want to run your own service, you will be able to have it. So after registering with Guardian service, let's say that it's the one run by us, you will receive a QR in the wallet. You scan it with your authentication app, and then after a period of 20 days, this period needed to be larger than the unstaking period for the reasons I mentioned, to still give a chance for people who already have their wallet leaked to recover it. But there, after the activation of your account, changing an already let's say activated guarded account, changing the guardian, it's easy, and it will be done immediately with a co-signed transaction. So a guarded transaction, it will be the change will be immediate. If you are let's say you've lost your phone where you had your authentication app, you can still change the guardian, but there is the 20 days period for the activation. Now, sending guarded transactions, it will be simple from the wallet. Even the interaction with the already existing dApps will be seamless, and most of the applications don't need to do anything. This filling up of transaction fields, if it's done directly from the wallet, then it's just as before. If it's passed from dApp, it's similar to what it was before. The only addition is filling the 2FA code, and sending the transaction is similar to what you had. So the only new form is adding the 2FA code in the wallet. As I mentioned, currently we have two options. There will be the third one, which will come, but probably after the launch, which will improve a lot the user experience for the service. The flow for the X portal, this is one of them, one of the options. The application itself will have another set of keys, which will be harder to be accessed from the user side. It will be backed in the cloud, just as the current private key is, and you can restore it on another device. It's just not that easily accessible from the user perspective, so it cannot that easily be leaked as well. And here you do not need to introduce any 2FA code, because the application from your device will always co-sign your transaction. As I mentioned, it's backed in the user's cloud, not visible to the user. Yeah, and I already mentioned that it always co-signs. And for the web wallet, as I mentioned before, just to underline, the guardian key, so the one that is used to co-sign the transactions, are controlled by the service. Of course, the service has encryption, has different protection measures, so that these keys are not leaked as well. But just so that everyone knows, the private keys that are used to sign or co-sign transactions are on the service. And the user needs to provide the 2FA code, a valid 2FA code, in order for the service to co-sign with the associated private keys for the users. As these keys are per user, are unique per user, and are not, at least the way our open source service is built. We cannot guarantee that someone else building another open source service following the same protocol does not do something weird. What the guardians can or cannot do, it can cosign, and it will cosign because this is the feature. It cannot generate valid transactions by itself. The user needs to sign. So it cannot by itself move user funds. The user needs to sign the transaction as well. It can be changed, as I mentioned, immediately if it's through a guarded transaction or co-signed transaction, or there is a delay to change it if it's not a guarded transaction. Yeah, there are some limitations to this feature. As I mentioned, it protects the account funds, even the available funds, not staked. Even in the case of leaked secret phrase and private key, as long as the user reacts in time. There will be notifications for the users using Xportal. There will be notifications in case there is a change of guardian, so user can have their list of actions he can do in case he did not issue that transaction. So the only transaction that can happen without the active guardian co-signing is the set guardian transaction. So in case there is any activity on the wallet with a set guardian which you did not initiate, it probably means that your account has been leaked, and then you have 20 days to do something. Move your funds, unstake, move your funds. Of course, you can extend this period. If let's say you reach the 18th day and you still did not unstake your funds, you can extend by another 20 days and extend by another 20 days and so on. As long as you react within those 20 days time frame, your funds are protected. Yeah, this was my presentation. We will have an event to stress test this. It is called to stress test mainly the service, but also the protocol features. It's called the Great Heist. We will probably yeah. Do you want? I think I saw Benny raise a hand. Do you want to?
No, it was a mistake. After the Great Heist.
Okay,
Please
after
continue.
the Great Heist. Okay. Just how this event will go. We will probably have Alice, which is a known wallet, leaked but guarded. It's already leaked, but anyway, we'll have some funds there on the testnet. The account will be guarded, and we will ask anyone to try and do something, either steal the funds or make Alice not able to move her funds. Whoever does something really interesting that we did not think about and affects in some way the capability of Alice moving her funds in a safe wallet during a specific time frame, we will give these funds on the mainnet to the most interesting attacks. But we actually expect you not to be able to do this. But even in this case, the most interesting attempts will be given some reward, or the reward we have locked in Alice's account. And of course, if you did not join us already on Discord, please do so. It's easier to reach the separate discussion threads there than it is in Telegram. Okay, so now we'll probably take questions, but I will leave Eddie to decide on the format.
Thank you for a great presentation, Adrian. I think you've shared quite a lot, and having all this information handy like this, with all the different steps. I'm sure it helps everybody. I've seen lots of flights and clapping and everything. So before we go to the questions, I think we have the special guest I told you guys about. He's joining us from an airport in an undisclosed location. So Benny, maybe you can share some words with us.
Love the sounds. Love the sounds. I thought I wanted to ask where the effects are coming from, but now I also discovered. No, it's really great to see this conversation happening. I was mentioning to Eddie that I would have joined from the start if I would not have been on a plane, and then have just arrived in an airport preparing for the next flight. But I think a lot of really great things are happening, as you've seen the presentation from Adi. Several mainnet upgrades are coming, but the most exciting part that's definitely going to help the community extraordinarily is this part of on-chain guardians that will transform or translate into on-chain 2FA for the average user, which will very likely be the most effective tool to killing scammers that we've had up until this point. I'm sure scammers will find new ways of scamming people because this is what they do. But 99% will probably die very soon once we have something like this live across the applications that we have in the community. So it's great to see this being integrated and adopted and now presented and all of that, and can't wait to see it play out with export of the web wallet extension and all the applications in the ecosystem. I think this is just, I would expect that you've already discussed about it, that this is just one conversation in a series of conversations that will follow, and that will probably happen on a monthly basis or something like that, where we not only try to share a lot more of the exciting things that are coming, but then also get some very useful feedback, hear your thoughts, hear ideas, try to process them a lot better. And in fact, we're going to do this type of conversation on several directions. So the validator discussion is one direction, the developer discussion is another direction, discussions within the just startup space, discussions within the general community, and maybe discussions even for the NFT ecosystem and so forth. All of those have the same goal of conveying some of the interesting and useful things that have been built, but then also getting really useful and insightful feedback from anyone that is using these tools and applications, and also has really good feedback as to how they could be improved. Last point that maybe I would mention, and then I'll let Eddie continue the flow with an AMA, is, as you've probably seen with some of the updates that we've had with the previous applications, what we announced yesterday, we're preparing a very significant discussion across all the verticals that are happening in the ecosystem, and preparing a very special plan to take things to the next level in terms of growth. I think I've been seeing some very, very positive and remarkable signs from builders across the ecosystem, where it's almost on a daily basis that we discover new apps, new ideas, new builders that are just not taking no for an answer and keep moving forward with adoption, with what they are building and sharing it with the community. So we're super excited to see that. And it seems like this is a very special moment where something really significant and big is about to happen for the ecosystem. So cannot wait to see this continue to grow, to share more of what we have in store, and that's coming. And last but not least, cannot wait to see people participate in the great haste, trying to take the technology down, trying to find some holes, improve it in the process. And at the end of the day, we're treading on completely new ground here, where not only is such a feature becoming accessible and available, but then seeing it embedded not only on the protocol side, but in end user applications that are really simple. That will set a new standard, and we're super excited about that. Keep up the great work. I love to see the conversations that keep going forward despite markets, despite conditions that come and go. And I keep being reminded about the conversations that were happening in Paris lastly, where I came very late, but everyone kept sharing their ideas, their thoughts, their stories, and it was a unique and special moment, but then also very clear that this was a very, very unique and special community. So keep doing the great work you're doing, and I'm sure we'll probably meet at X Day 2023 very soon. As soon as we have the details finalized, clarified, and we're ready to share. So I'll just pass the metaphorical mic to Eddie further, and I think Q&A and conversations just following the thread that was already happening would be best.
Thank you very much, Benny, for the intervention. I think everybody here is excited to have you join and share a few words. We're also excited to see what's in store for all of us and how we grow this ecosystem from an L1 blockchain to the L1 blockchain. And there are some questions in the chat. I think Adrian already answered some of them. Maybe it'll be, I think Lucian raised his hand.
No, not really. It was by mistake, but I do have maybe one simple explanation or something to add with respect to the guardians and the user experience that most of the users will see or might see once an account was compromised, and how would they be able to identify on their own device. So in practice, basically, with the system that the protocol team has built, basically the one of the signing, as Adrian mentioned, one of the signing methods would be that the exporter itself would be a self-guarded account, or the accounts hosted in an exporter device or wallet would be self-guarded. With respect to that, for example, what we will or envision to build is something like similar experience to most of the Web2 applications, such as, for example, if you go and log in a new device or try to log in on a new device and do anything with respect to Web2, which has not been previously registered to that specific account, such as, for example, you log into Facebook. I'm not sure who still does that, but for the ones that still do log into Facebook and a new account, basically, or a new device, you're getting most of the time an email which is asking you, hey, is it really you? Please confirm that this is you signing into a new device. If it's not you, please do the following measures, change the password, and so forth. So in practice, if you do have a registered account and on your exporter device, and there is somebody else that has taken access or got a copy of your seed phrase, and is trying to register a new guardian for that account and replace you, basically what one point that we will try to do is have a server side part on the X portal that will analyze all the accounts that are registered with the guardian, a self-guarded account, and send a push notification to that device every day until the user takes action. So, for example, if there is a bounding or a time frame of 20 days or 30 days, as Adrian mentioned, to activate that key, basically we could, once somebody tries to replace that the already active guardian, we could send you every day a push notification on the X portal telling you and informing you that somebody is trying to log in and replace the guardian account from that specific account. So you could basically, in practice, you will see two buttons. Is this you? Yes. If it is you, then basically you can instantly confirm that and then have the migration done. If it's not you, you could basically by some transaction on chain, you could be guided how to cancel that new registration, which is coming from a malicious account or a malicious actor to that account. So this is something that on top of everything, we are trying also to try to work with the user experience and guide the UI from and use all the tools that the protocol is doing for everybody to help themselves and guide them and inform them when something happens.
Just one more thing I wanted to add. We've also tried to add limitations. I think someone was asking about other limitations on that are imposed on an account when changing the guardian. Yes, there are some limitations. For example, you will not be able to drain the funds through gas usage or gas price. So this is one of the things we wanted to have covered as well. And if someone manages to do that, it means that we need to fix it during the testnet. But normally it should not be possible to drain the accounts through gas, increasing gas limit and gas price and so on. There's also, as I mentioned, you can extend the period, and you can also block any other trials of setting a guardian on an already guarded account. And this will mean that even that gas cost for setting a new guardian, you cannot continue spending that one as well. So in case, for example, you have already a guarded account and there is a set guardian without a cosign, because we are assuming that the scammer will not have access to your 2FA code. In that case, you can already block also the pending change of your guardian. So no more uncosigned transactions for setting a guardian will be accepted by the protocol. So I'm really curious on what you guys will think of when participating in the event. Maybe there is something we've missed, but this is what we are also trying to battle test.
I do, yeah, maybe to add on top of that, maybe one with respect to the group that is already in here. One thing that I've been processing for a while is that most of the accounts that have stated Genesis directly stake nodes and staking providers, owner accounts. Up until this point, there was the best way to secure this. The process was or the operations would have been basically through a multi-sig, and up until shortly, I think we did not have a multi-sig online. So most of the keys basically were directly attached to staking pool or Validator nodes directly. And with this feature, basically all the validators could easily just add and guard those accounts without any security risk. So basically, there's some, I would say, a multi-sig at the protocol level already in place as well. So now we have multiple layers of multi-sigs.
That's awesome. Right. I think we should go through these questions. Some of them were picked up by Adrian already. So I'm not sure which one was not answered. The one with the ETA about Alter and Sirius, did you pick up on that, Adrian?
Sorry, no, which one? Sorry, I was replying to another question.
Earliest one from Puset. ETA, approximate ETA for Alter and Sirius.
Yeah, so Alter, we're trying to have it out in April. As we proceed with the event on the testnet, we'll see if there are any major things we need to fix. Then it will probably be delayed a bit. But otherwise, yeah, we should be on time by the end of April.
Okay.
And Sirius will follow. As I mentioned, we've already started testing for Sirius. Of course, you cannot do too often big releases because we need to announce also exchanges. They need to have also a process they need to follow. So it will probably not be earlier than a month from Alter.
Okay, I'll take that as a tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Philippe, do you need us to run tests on the testnet, devnet, or you will run the tests exclusively with the core team?
We can. This is why we will put it on the testnet, on the public testnet. We've already run internal testnets with the feature, with the service, and so on. But yeah, we need to battle test it in the real
world. Good.
Yeah.
Mihai has a couple of questions. Limit of gas to migrate the entire Clockno storage state.
Yeah, I think I covered this because you can do it through. Yeah.
Okay. Transactions, right. For sovereign testnet event, will you need more nodes resources to play?
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
There will be, but we will announce exactly how people can participate when we are close to having the event.
There's another one from Puset. Can we consider freezing scammer accounts with a DAO in the future? This one is very easy. I think this is one for everybody to answer. You know, I think it's for all of us to decide in the future.
Yeah, so it will be possible for such a feature to be implemented, but I'm not sure if we will want to implement such a feature because it comes with other drawbacks. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a difficult one. We'll debate that. Right. We did have one about Ledger Guardians. You answered that. I'm not sure I understand this one. Will we be able to back protect existing wallets? Add guardians for existing wallets? Is that the question?
If that's the question, then yes, you can add guardians on existing wallets. This was exactly because we already have a lot of users, and it would have been weird if only new users could protect. Yeah.
I think the question is more like, can you protect a wallet that was compromised some time ago?
If it still has funds and if the one doing the protection is the user, yes, he will probably be protected. If the one doing the protection, quote marks, is the scammer, then yeah, it's.
Can you unsteal some funds?
No.
Well, this one's for Beniamin. A word for today's enigmatic tweak about adding a new shard to resolve any issue?
No real word. That's supposed to be enigmatic and to remain like that.
Okay, so no alpha here. Okay.
No problems. It maybe just the idea is that if everything would be solvable just through some technical updates, the world would be very simple and cool and so forth. Unfortunately, people need to learn much more than something, so it's still good to be able to move forward, but that will probably receive some explanations at a later stage.
Awesome. Right. This next one was covered by Lucian. With the Guardian functionality, we'll be able to move an active validator without unstaking and thus losing our spot as an active validator.
I think it depends on what an active validator means. Is it a staking provider? So the owner of the staking pool? Because I think we have the feature of changing the owner there. So it will be possible to change the owner while having the old owner, which might be compromised, guarded. So you have some time to change to a new wallet. But for directly staked validators, of course, there's still the flow where you can you can transform your direct staked validator into a staking pool and go through the same process probably.
Okay, we skip now to Mihai's question regarding what accounts work with Relayer version 2.
So not Relayer version 2 because that one has some limitations. It has some limitations in order to make it very cheap. It will be able to work with Relayer v1. Of course, we have also discussed how we can improve and make the relate transaction more future extensible. Relayer v2 is a bit tough to work to build upon because it has those limitations. But we can have an improved like starting from Relayer v1. We can rework the way the gas is consumed for Relayer v1, and it will probably become very, very similar in gas cost to what Relayer v2, the current Relayer v2 is. But this will need a new feature.
Okay. Another one. Will phase 4 allow us to cancel an undelegate request and just put it back in staking? If not, can we have this as a feature request?
Yeah, we need to think about the implications. It's not that it cannot be done. As I mentioned, lots of things can be done. It's just that we need to see if there are implications and if we need to do this change.
Okay. Martin asks if we tried adding two shards, if one will not solve everything. Okay. Alessandro, referring to the DNS 2.0 feature, will hero tags become DNS 2.0 and thus be transferable and sold?
There has been an entire discussion around DNS 2.0, and the user or the hero tags is just a small part of it. Yeah, we will probably have the functionality that ENS has, and hero tags will be there in some form in this new feature. But it's not, so hero tags will not be completely DNS 2.0. 2.0 will have more.
Okay. I think one more question. Can we change the BLS key if it was compromised? I think you mean the node signing key, right, Gabriel?
I think Radu can also jump in, and other people from the core can also jump in with the question. I'm not sure we had the discussion to see if we can change the BLS key.
Was a discussion like at the beginning 2 years ago or something like that, and it remained like that, and it
with staking phase 4, you will actually no longer need it, because it's if you have the funds, a new key can enter directly, and you can decommission the old key. So if we look towards the release of staking phase 4, I think such a feature will not be needed. You can do the same with stake, have the same effect with staking phase 4.
Yeah, I think the reasoning why we did not have at the beginning was not the feature. One of the parts was related to the security and not being able to just sell everything without without the other one or the new key not being shared. So by basically how you would prohibit selling of active validator Cs and the secondary market for that. Basically, as long that you know that if I'm selling you anything and I can still have the key of it, basically we both gonna have access to the same vault, right? So it's not actually transferring anything. It's just that we're multiplying the key. And now, as Adrian mentioned, with the staking phase 4, basically there's a way of rotating the keys natively built by the new staking model. So there will be no queue as per se like it is today. So if your validator has the enough stake, it will become eligible and then active.
Okay, Ben is asking, will slashing come in phase 4? I think we already have a sort of slashing right now, because if you're misbehaving, your rating goes down. If you're not active and you get to -10, and then you get kicked out of consensus, and then you have to pay to get back, and you lose your spot, and you have to wait 2 to 4 months to get back until somebody else gets jailed. So this concept of slashing, I think it's a bit, it got spread out too much as a must for blockchains. I would consider this punishment for not behaving well. I've seen lots of slashable events in Ethereum where people, because of double signing, misconfigurations in software, lost lots of money. So I think having slashing is a tricky situation, and punishing really mischievous actors is the way to go. So maybe if you guys want to add something here.
I think you covered it pretty well. What I want to add is that any, let's say, deviation from the protocol by a validator that is in consensus group, which is the only validator that can do something to the protocol, is an action punishable through jailing currently. You mentioned jailing costs some money, so there is some form of penalizing. Also, you lose some chances of getting rewards. We have added some extra, let's say, acceleration for the rating decrease with the changes for the new consensus model, where the act of doing wrong or badly voting on some or pretending to be voting but not exactly voting and stuff like that is punishable through a blacklist. Every node has a local list which he does not want to accept for a period of time messages from. So this will translate into you not participating in consensus because the other ones do not want you to participate since you misbehaved, and this will again accelerate the way you lose rating and you get jailed. So it will it is a form of slashing, but I think it's not that prone to false positives and losing more funds, as you mentioned in Ethereum.
Okay.
Maybe one point here. So the simple answer it is now to say yes, we do have already slashing, which is, for example, where in Ethereum or other networks, once you have been slashed, you can still get back, pay the fee, and get back in active consensus set and try again. In our case, the cost of getting back to the same seat, active validator seat, is, I think, by a factor of really big. I'm not sure how what's the difference, but at least couple of times bigger than most of the other networks. So it is even harder to get back to try to misbehave again, in simple words. And then going next step, now I think with the new consensus set coming up in the next releases, where also the shards will have 400 or 400, then the rating decrease or the rating measurements might be even more prone to or accurate to the entire set of 400 validators that will be on the all the shards. And maybe Adrian can
just to add, maybe you've noticed if you have your node offline on the meta chain, where we have 400 out of 400 in the consensus group. If you have your node offline on the meta chain, the rating decreases faster. So yeah, and in light of that, with the changes we've done with the blacklisting, local blacklisting of nodes that misbehave, you will get faster into jail if you misbehave, not only if you do not participate.
Okay.
Indeed. So basically, yeah,
Sorry.
that will apply also on the shards as well. So it will be even the slashing will get even more accurate or harder, I would say, on with the next versions.
There's a follow from Philippe saying, okay, for no slashing, but in phase 4 there will be no queue. So there's a
I would say
and also if you can swap the BLS if they're blacklisted, that's also something that you can do to avoid. So it's a good point, I think.
I would, with respect to the time, not go into the staking
yeah,
phase.
Just one thing, you cannot bypass it, because you cannot unstake a node before unjailing it. So yeah, it's you need to still pay for your previous misbehavior through the unjail fee.
And you're going to have the 10 days unbonding period. So you cannot use the same 2,500 e-gold just to switch to the next DLS key. You have to wait 10 days, and then you have to be selected. You are put on the waiting list another 5 days, and only afterwards you can do again something stupid.
Or try. Thanks for that. Good appetit, Pousset. Bon appetit. Tell your wife we're sorry for keeping you here. There was another question from Gabriel about APR on phase 4. I can take this one quickly. If your staking pool is more or less in line with the network medium top up, then the APR will be more or less the same. The point of staking phase 4 is not to increase or decrease the APR, is just to increase decentralization and remove the queue, change it into an auction. So if you're trying to protect your APR by keeping a low cap on your pool and saving those big APR numbers, then your staking your APR will be affected. If your APR is around what's medium on the network right now, then it will be about the same. Right. When do we get to see an outline of the mechanics of phase 4?
Yeah, I think we will be able to start the discussion We need to see, because we already have some documentation for this. Probably we need to check because we've changed, we found some edge case in the meantime, and we've changed a bit some stuff. So we need to see if we need to update the documentation. But then we should definitely start the discussion, present the current, how the current solution or our proposal works. What are the limitations? What are the parameters we could change, and we need to decide, and go on from there. See how everyone feels about this. Take it in, let it sink a bit, and then come if there are proposals for improvement. Sure, we can take those.
Okay, there's one question that is longer from Mihai. In the meantime, I would ask you guys to vote on the poll I made about the time of this call. We have 16 votes and 53 people on this call. So while you listen, maybe check the poll. Because of the dynamic EGLD price per node in phase 4 is changing daily, will the base...
I can just explain better like this, Eddie. My words are faster, the brain communicate different. So because the price per node every day will be actually changing based on the dynamics of the phase 4 and how it works. Now my question is the base price always remaining 2,500 and the APR applies to this, or the base price is actually adjusting every day, let's say 3,000 today, so that means it will get the full APR for this 3,000, and the top up to 5,000 is just 2,000. So the 2,000 will be the top up APR, right? It will be like this, or it will just stay the same like now, but the price per node will be dynamic.
So the minimum accepted by the network is still 2,500. So that will not change. In case, for example, you see people unstaking, this limit does not change. It is the minimum required by the network to have enough security. With the number of nodes we've also set, we have a minimum, I think, of 1,900 something, 920 maybe, nodes in the network, with the 2,500 minimum stake per node. Now, everything above that is considered top up. The way the new nodes or new nodes are coming into the network is by replacing currently shuffled out nodes. And if every epoch we currently have 320 nodes that are shuffled out from the existing shard, and 320 nodes will replace them. Now, those 320 nodes that replace the shuffled out nodes will be the nodes with the highest stake. Of course, the selection will be dynamic. So in case, for example, you have one node in the network active and you have 10 nodes waiting to enter, then the selection, it might be that only 3 will be selected and the others not, because the selection will be a bit more elastic. Like the top up will be considered the best distribution from your top up to the available nodes, so that your more nodes qualify. So it will be automatically done. Of course, you can also do some changes to improve your chances. If you have 10 nodes waiting and your average stake per node is, let's say, 4,000, but you see that in the network the average is 4,500. If you unstaked 1 or 2 nodes, then you will have more from those distributed as top up to the existing ones, and you will have more chances. But otherwise, the selection will be done in order to maximize your chances by choosing the top up to migrate to some nodes. All this will be presented in our specification. I'm not sure if we are to call it specification, but just a description of how staking phase 4 works. and you will probably understand it better from that point.
Yeah, I think we should. It's a good question, but we should move the stake phase 4 later. Go ahead,
I
Mincu.
will just say, was great chiming in, coming with some short note. Really great to see the energy and conversations and so forth. Very much looking forward for this continuing and preparing for the next flight. So talk later, and please continue the conversation. Take care.
Bye,
Cheers,
Benny.
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. We've had some raised hands here. I'm not sure if they were by mistake or not.
No, it wasn't by mistake. So regarding the unstake so you have 10 nodes, you unstake 1, right? But we are obliged to, in the future, to keep also redundancy nodes, right? So that will affect our costs.
It will actually, this is why multi-key solution comes first before staking phase 4. And with the multi-key solution, you can have the hardware you're using right now for, let's say, 8 nodes, you will be able to use for 50 nodes or even more. Also with redundancy. Those 8 nodes include 4 nodes plus 4 redundancy nodes. So with this setup, you will be able to hold, for example, 30 nodes or even more. This will allow also the changes in staking phase 4, like how many nodes you need to run, to be completely without your intervention to your setup. So
I think it would be very helpful and very well planned in the roadmap with the upcoming releases, that I think by next call or the call after, we could discuss in detail and have some more in-depth presentation on the multi-key first, and then have a very good understanding for everybody, for the broader community, the implications, the efficiency, and so forth. And then it would be obvious that how would the key management or just the staking management and key management on top of those, the new clients will affect the entire economics of the service for each service provider and the network overall, right? I think very well planned, and we should definitely follow up on multi-key very soon.
Yeah, it will be also an interesting discussion on that one.
Indeed.
2 weeks from now. Right, guys, I have another topic I want to bring up, very, very, very important. I'm going to share the link here about the display information, right? Keybase has gone underwater. So it's very important that everybody that still didn't complete the GitHub method, you can find it in the docs. I shared the link there. I can even share my screen for a second. Tab, let me see, the delegation manager. Okay. So it's very clear explaining here how you should have a repo on GitHub with the right name and how you should set it up. There's a JSON file. Everything is shared in here. It's very, very similar with the GitHub, with the Keybase version. So if you have any questions, you can reach anybody in Discord or on Telegram, and there's always somebody there to answer any question. But this is crucial that we do it. The team is right now using the already stored information that they have, but this will not be for much longer, right, Lucian?
Indeed. I would propose with respect to this, keeping on point and to be as accurate as possible. In 2 weeks at latest, we will have, I would invite Traian, maybe the guy which has been working on the delegation metrics and APIs for quite a longer time, to be with us and maybe guide us through everything what is needed. Maybe prepare a very short presentation, maybe keep a 10 minutes, 15 minutes call on exactly what's important and what's coming next on that front.
Yeah, I think everybody can prepare on that, though. You don't have to wait for Traian to
Indeed.
come. Yeah, for me it was very easy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I've done it too. It's super easy, yeah, and it's great. The meta, you don't have to redo the meta as long as your GitHub username is the same.
That's right.
Correct? Or should we do it just in case?
No, you don't need.
No. So
you don't have to. Yeah.
As long,
okay.
yeah, if the values are the same, then basically you're not writing something different in place, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It would. We're not checking if it has been redone or reprocessed. We're checking the value. If the values matches, then we're good to go.
Yeah.
There's a process that keeps looking for the information, and if it finds it, you're good.
Yeah. 2 more questions. So, well, they're not questions, but in the pref.toml, it still says keybase identity. I assume in the next upgrade we'll change that to GitHub.
Where is that?
Well, in the actual file where you change your
Yeah.
identity, it still says keybase. So some people might get a bit confused with the documentation.
We need to update that as well.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last thing was, Eddie, I saw that you were a Boy Scout, and you put it. I don't know if you know what a Boy Scout is, but whatever. You put in you put in all your BLS keys in the array, but I was reading in there that you only have to put the smart contract. However, I just saw that you did all the BLS keys. So what would be the point of doing that if we didn't have to?
That wasn't me, and those are private nodes that you see
Exactly.
there. BLS keys.
Understood. So if it's a private node, then yeah. If you have to add private, yeah, got it. So if I have private nodes that I want to put under my entity to make it look like it's bigger than it actually is, then that's what I do.
So it is, isn't it? No.
I'm just kidding. Got it. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Awesome.
Okay, I think we've passed the 1.37 hour time. I thought we were not going to fill 1 hour and a half, but it looks like we've gone past that. It's the first meeting in a while, so in the future, these meetings don't have to take 90 minutes. They can take 1 hour. They can take 30 minutes. We can just keep in touch, have a way of contact that is close and fast, and it's very important just to be aligned. So thank you guys for taking time to get up to speed with everything that's happening here. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure the team does as well. My point of being here and organizing these calls is basically because I'm close geographically to the team. I live 5 minutes away from the headquarters. There's nothing else behind that. I'm just trying to fill a gap here. So if you have anything you want to present in the next meeting 2 weeks from now, let me know. I'll schedule a slot for you to share. Like Drew, I know you will be there, right? Next week? 2 weeks from now? Okay. So thanks again. This was recorded. I will send this link to the chat. Lucian, if you want to give some closing remarks.
Yeah, especially. So maybe just some more context. One extra reason that why we wanted to get this kind of calls going again. I know that there have been discussions over Telegram or Discord regarding multiple features and specification and so forth. And I know that most of the time, each of the topics are very sensible topics that we should create the space where these kinds of conversations should happen. And it's a totally different feeling where you're seeing the guy that you're talking to, and you're seeing also the way or the energy or he can explain it even better than and send the feelings over better than just some black and white text could send over Telegram. And with that also, what is very important is that we have now the context, or where can we join every couple of weeks a call, and there will be the part of the team, part of the other staking providers and validators from the community, where we can debate this kind of topics, discuss about them, and also gather the very, very on point feedback from each of you guys to us, and try to process it in the most meaningful way for the entire ecosystem. I think this is what it should be, and I think we're building even more stuff than actually when we started with the calls a couple of years back. And I'm really happy to see this going, and have you guys, I think, as many times as possible to be part of the latest updates. So thanks a lot for joining. Happy to see this happening, and would love to have the next ones, the next conversations again.
Thanks for that, Lucian. I think that's it for now. We've gotten the 100-minute mark. We got over it. That's okay. We're gonna have fun rewatching this, right? Thanks again. I'm gonna close this call now. See you all in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.